Not all superheroes wears capes. Some wear wellies. Wellies.
Hello everyone, we're joined by the one and only Darragh McShane. Darragh wrote a post on Facebook that's now being looked at by 600,000 to 700,000 people, basically explaining what it's like to be a young working family in Ireland at the moment, and it's really hit a chord with an awful lot of people, and we're very happy to have him here with us.
Yeah, hey, good man, James. I really appreciate that.
Can you tell us all about it? I know.
Yeah, can I just say first that I am so happy to be here. Like, I spoke, we spoke, you spoke, and we're here. We actually did something. No help. Imagine that.
Mhm.
Yeah, so, no, thanks for the introduction. I probably stewed over the entire weekend of how do you even just introduce yourself, do you know what I mean? Because bigging up myself is not something that I'm good at. But yeah, as you said, a very, very typical working class Irish lad. You know, didn't do college, didn't do nothing like that, you know, but I definitely kept the head down. I've definitely worked. I've been a contributing member of society type of thing, you know. Spent a few years self-employed. COVID landed, never quite recovered from that. So, you know, here we are, we're doing our thing, we're working. Babies, all of that stuff, you know, a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, one's about to be 4 now, on Friday. And, you know, I don't need to explain to everyone that's going to be listening here the level of responsibility and work that it comes just to build a life off that alone. Just that little platform that I said. Young Irish family, 2 kids, yeah, trying to make things happen. We're right there in the whole getting a mortgage, thinking about pensions, life is real now all of a sudden, do you know what I mean?
Adulting.
Yeah, adulting, imagine that, huh? There's 3 of us here, we're all parents. You're a parent, James?
Yeah.
So I think we can agree that the second you have kids, your vision immediately goes 20, 30 years into the future. And you're planning for everything. Everything is, it's not 1 step forward, 2 steps back. That'll quickly give you a heart attack. do you know what I mean? But yeah, so look, it was one of those days where, you know, I'm not going to beat a dead horse too much and tell everyone the state that Ireland is in at the minute. But, you know, typical day of work, coming back, land in the car park. And there's the second time this week, there's this big electronics van outside. And there's all these air conditioning units, dishwashers, all this stuff, do you know what I mean? That's just been unloaded and brought in. And we all know where it's going. I'm in a little apartment block there. There's probably about 15 in my one block. Now there's 2 blocks there, yeah. Before COVID, these were all Irish people and working immigrants, do you know what I mean? Since then, everyone got that letter. You know, slowly but surely, everyone started getting that letter, and you see people leaving, and you see the new people coming in. And now our little place there's 3 of us. There's 3 Irish people in all of those houses. Yeah, where there's not Irish people, these places have been upgraded. You're talking, you know, your big tiled floors, all this type of stuff. Meanwhile, we're looking at door frames that still aren't even fully painted. Do you know what I mean? Like, if anything, a lot of us have moved into somewhere that's less of what it was when we moved in and still paying the same money, if not more.
You see, this is the sense, I think, that the government, they didn't see it coming down the line. A lot of Irish families, they're not racist. It's just that what they see is, oh, you don't care about me.
Yeah, no, look, here, when this whole racism thing, that needs to be stomped out quick. Do you know what I mean? It really does, because that's only going to go one way. It only ever has. Do you know, if you want to start looking down through history, people want to start talking about the history. What do you call the Malcolm X? Do you know what I mean? Martin Luther King, how these things went. If anything, both those lads were actually assassinated by their own people. Do you know what I mean? Do you know, so this whole racism thing, it's like, that needs to be stomped out fast. Like, as you said, there's 600,000-700,000 people, you know, that resonated with what I said. And do you know, when you're someone like myself and you put up something like that, I've never had that level of spread in something that I said before. Do you know what I mean? So you're looking at what people are saying, and Jesus, man, 99%, it's not about race at all. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing I said just there in that post that is about race. It could have been an Irish person. If you're an Irish person, all of a sudden you're getting dishwashers and air conditioning units and all this stuff for free. There's a problem with that too. When your neighbour is everything's behind their door they've worked for. Do you know, like, there's nothing behind my door that I haven't worked for. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't own anything that was handed to me for free. Do you know, I'm happy to help someone that's in danger. Do you know, I think we've all share that. That's one of the beautiful things about us, that we're happy to help people because we've been helped, you know. But there's given an inch and there's taken a mile, you know. Like there's this whole idea that we're not being took advantage of, which is fucking ridiculous, you know. Like it's costing us out the back arse, you know what I mean? It's illogical. You know, it's the only way to put it. If you want to open it up and put it on the table, like, are we racist? No. Are we paying for somebody else? Yes. Did you know, like, should we be involved in humanitarian acts and all this type of thing? Of course. Should we be thinking of the humanity of our own people first? Of course. You know, that's kind of logical. No.
Well, it struck me as very strange how a government could say that they had a housing crisis and then say to the world that, oh, well, we have a housing crisis, but we're in a position to welcome people.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Well,
like if you go back, our home, when I grew up, we had a small home. There was 2 rooms. You know, there was my parents' room and then the room that I shared with my sibling.
Right, yeah.
We didn't have people over because we couldn't.
Right, yeah.
And then at one stage, to my grandfather, we converted the sitting room into a bedroom, which meant that you no longer had a sitting room. So we had a housing crisis. What we done is we extended the house eventually. But in the meantime, we didn't say to the whole parish, oh, any that's stuck for a bed.
Yeah,
we didn't have room.
Ah, geez, yeah, absolutely. It's just, you do what you can. You don't break your back doing it either. Do you know what I mean? Like there's giving an inch, there's taking a mile. It's common sense, isn't there? Like, you know. But on top of that, when we talk about the housing and all that type of stuff, if I go back to my buildings, I'm talking directly across the road. There's 5 big 3-story buildings that were there for as long as I've lived in Carrick, and they were shells. There was actually a son and a father that was squatting in one of them, you know, and slowly doing them up. But these places largely are just completely unkept. The construction fences and all that type of stuff around and all that. And once all this immigration stuff came up, they're all converted into 3 apartments separately. So now it's, you know, what is it? 15 dwellings now, you know, and again, footpaths, all of it is far more kept than any other section there. Do you know what I mean? And whatever incentive it is that's given into putting those buildings back into correct working order, it also needs to just be given to Irish people, you know, or Irish citizens, whatever way you want to look at it. You can't just wait for the bomb to drop and then be like, shit, we need houses. You know, it's kind of stupid that, you know, like where's the foresight? Do you know what I mean?
Well, you see, what they're doing is they're closing their hands on capital that the Irish public have not caused enough bother about up until this point. Yeah. It's only now, you know, and I appreciate that you've done the poster that I go back, when was the Syrian war? Was 2017, I think.
Just dates are going to be lost on me.
I was on Ocean FM that time. They were moving Syrian refugees to Al-Hadreen.
Right.
And I says, hold on a second, ye got a grant for a community hotel. The community agreed for this hotel to be done up because the community was going to use it. And now what you're going to do is make an asylum centre out of it. And at the time, you could count on one hand the people who agreed with you. They all thought that you were just a racist who didn't want these people to flee war and all that.
Straight to extremists, you know.
But like what I said at the time, and I'm afraid it's coming through now, is I says, if you depict yourself as the breadbasket of the world, the world will arrive.
Of course, yeah. And we absolutely are too. Do you know, I mean, even the budget there, it's just making it even more inviting, isn't it?
What did you think about the budget?
Like, as a worker, right, it was tough to see.
Yeah.
You know, like, what is it? I think a few people are getting a few tuppence at the start of next year, isn't it?
Yeah.
What I also get on the other side, like, if you're one of those welfare people, like, prices are rising everywhere, do you know what I mean? And, you know, your own ship you have to keep afloat too. I'm sure there's a lot of people that's happy with it, mind you. But I mean, look, like, I've seen something, the fertility rate in Ireland is at 1.6. Yeah. And for Ireland to be maintainable without needing like the likes of immigration, all this type of stuff, it needs to be a 2.1. Yeah. So Irish babies, by the way, we need Irish babies. Yeah, I think we'd all love to see that. But so I'm going off on a tangent there.
No, where
were we?
No, you're doing fine. It's all to do with the same thing, which is that I think you're coming across now at points that we've discussed for a long time, and I'm very, very happy to see it. I'm very happy to see other people picking up on.
Yeah.
Because we, in my opinion, if we do not get control of the government very quickly and put all of these things in place, as a group of people, we won't be around.
No.
You could well be looking at a situation. There's already a situation where there's between 100, 130, 140 million people globally who identify as of Irish heritage. I think you're looking at a situation where you have 140 million people who identify of Irish heritage, but they're no longer a majority in their own country.
Right, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Which is a frightening thing.
Absolutely, yeah. That actually, what you were saying about the budget, that was what I wanted to say when it comes to workers and stuff like that. You've got people that are leaving this country in thousands and tens of thousands every year, going off to greener pastures, I suppose, people that are heading off to Australia, all this type of stuff. You've got immigration coming in, you know what I mean, and immediately it's to welfare, so it's off the workers' back, So you've got a whole young majority there that's jumping ship. And if you include our population that's in school or that's in college, that's retired or heading towards retirement and pensions and all that type of stuff, you've now got a very, very small population that's actually working and keeping all of that up. Do you know what I mean? And when the simple things like your steak is now double the price, your ESB, your rent is tripling in a matter of years, which mine literally tripled. Imagine that. Do you know what I mean? Like, what's the next 10 years hold? But it's those workers that need to be propped up on a pedestal, because they're not just working for themselves, even if unconsciously it is them that are holding up all of this. Do you know, like, if you're out there and you're in paying tax, you're keeping the production line going, whatever it is that you're doing, you are paying for immigration. You are paying for the kids in the school and the education that they receive. You're paying for the pensioners. You're paying for the retirement homes. You're paying for all of that. And all of a sudden that budget comes out and it seems like everybody but that worker that's holding all of this together got acknowledged, and what's on the net, every single day it's who's getting the clip next. That's my thoughts on the budget.
No, it is entirely, but you need a new government to solve that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I was asked, how would you solve the immigration crisis? And to be honest about it, I think most countries need a certain amount of immigration. Not much.
Yeah, of course. I agree with you.
But what I do is that I did enact a policy that you had to pay tax for 10 years before you could be recognised as an Irish citizen. And I would put it that you had to pay tax for 10 years before you could go for welfare. And that would solve the immigration crisis overnight, because you would be left with the ones who are actually working. And the ones who have came to take advantage of the system, they'd have no system to take advantage of.
Absolutely, yeah. Again, it's common sense. I think that's something that I've heard spoken a lot. Like me personally, I can't just up and go to another country. It's going to take a long bloody time. I'm going to have work lined up. I'm going to have money in the bank account, all this type of stuff, visas, etc., etc. Of course, immigration is a different policy, all of this type of stuff. But enough is enough. That's the first thing I'd say. I feel like I've done my share. I don't know about anybody else, but I'll say that. I feel like I've done my share. But yeah, as you said, we need immigration. Do you know what I mean? We need people that are willing to work, that are willing to boost this country.
We need a certain degree of it.
Yeah.
Like, as I said, if you have a shortage in something, I'm only saying this from the perspective, let's say I was dictator in the morning, right? And it's not this thing where you go to 100 people and come with it. It's just, right, James, what's your idea on this? I'd say, look, if I have a shortage of rural doctors and I can't get them in Ireland, I have no difficulty advertising that position and getting doctors. But I don't see in Ireland at the moment the necessity for all of the people who are coming here. What are they going to work at?
No, well, there's not. There is no necessity for it. What is it? It's 97% of the country's employed right now. And meanwhile we're making all these deals. We're a data country. Most of the infrastructure that we're starting to gear towards bringing in now, it doesn't even require people to really keep it up. Do you know what I mean? Like, what's that thing that's coming to at loan? Basically like a giant computer chip. They're digging the Shannon all the way from here down to Athlone, down to Dublin, etc. To cool down computer chips that needs about 10 people to man it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so we've gotten to the stage of employment now where we have to start looking for businesses that don't even need employment. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
so,
you see, this is the danger. You see, any of these data centers, and I was 2019, 2020 telling people, fair enough, you might have 200 men building it. But that 200 men, the minute it's built, is reduced to 15, 20.
It's a bandit. Yeah.
And you have an operation that uses a ludicrous amount of electricity. Like, people are wondering, why are our electric bills going up? Well, maybe it's because you're competing with billionaires for electricity.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. You have Amazon, Google, Microsoft. How come they don't pay 3 times the price for electric and then subsidize for the residential user? So you say to the company that has all of this money, listen, you're in Ireland because it's a temperate climate, it's pretty safe. That's why you're here. We know why you're here. So you're going to subsidize the ordinary resident of Ireland with cheaper electricity. We're going to let you be here and you can avoid the tax, right? You can do that. But by fuck, you're going to give something to the people for doing that.
Right, have to be careful, James starting to sound a bit like a socialist.
No, you see, electricity for me is a different one. Like, I'd have no difficulty giving people free capability to build their own life on. So, like, here, we've been able to do this because what I've done is, you know, in the initial period, materials that were waste off jobs, that's what's here. That's what done this room, right? So I was social in that element that if someone had a bag or two left, do you need that? No, bring it with you. Okay, fair enough. I think if you just give people a small opportunity, they can go forward. I really do. Like, I've always spoke about a blended system. You know, capitalism, I believe, is the best alternative. Socialism has some good aspects. There's some aspects, like healthcare, for instance. I think an idea where people have access to healthcare is good. I like that idea. Do you know, blended systems.
You're talking my language, man. Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm an admirer of him. I like Gaddafi.
All right.
I think he was all right. I think he made a mistake.
I think a lot of them might have been. Yeah, that's for sure. Huh?
Yeah, but his thing was he was going to create his own currency backed by gold, and then this is, we have to get rid of him. We can't have that. We can't have a currency that mightn't hyperinflate. What's your opinion on the rate of inflation? Like, the cost of living has gone insane.
It's right. So for me, the whole inflation thing, not that it goes over my head, it's that it's a hard one to put a tab on. I'll use an example, actually. There was a lad in one of the, you know, yourself, you're on different groups on Facebook, lad, after the budget, this chap, he put up a post, you know, God help him, you know, and fair play to him, he asked the question too, and he got the answer. But he said, if they print money, like, why aren't they just printing more money and giving it out to people? You know, it'll do good for the business, and, you know, good for business for everybody. Everyone's got more money, products are being bought, etc., etc. And, you know, on the surface, that sounds great. And I think a big problem of how we even got to this whole fucking situation is that there's questions like that people aren't sure what the answer is to. And I mean, the answer is the more money that you just print and put into people's hands, that's the interest rising right there.
Well, you devalue the currency.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, if 10 people are offering me €10 for this cup of coffee here, it's the lad who's going to give me 12 that's getting it. And that's, you know, a big part of inflation right there. So, again, going back to the budget, you're putting money into the hands of welfare people who need it when prices are rising, but that also makes the people that are working, their money has now become slightly less.
What's your opinion on long-term welfare? Because I believe that's a problem in this country. I believe there's people who have been a very long time on welfare. They have no requirement to work because the amount of welfare they're getting easily keeps their lifestyle.
Yeah, that's
like, they're never going to be a millionaire.
That is a big problem,
but they don't need to work.
Yeah. Isn't it a big thing that they say there's a big problem with the reason why so many people are against socialism, which I definitely don't think works either, to be honest, is that it does make people unproductive. It makes people unmotivated, etc., etc. So look, if welfare and my wage can get the exact same thing, that's obviously a problem. You know, again, how do you fix that? that's beyond me. But this whole idea that welfare should be on equal terms as someone who's working and being productive, that's bloody ridiculous.
Would you not be in favour of an idea where it was reduced by 25% per year? So in your initial year, you get full rate.
Mm-hmm.
When it goes into year 2, it's been reduced by 25%. When it goes into year 3, you've reduced it again by 25%.
I think Germany has something like that.
I think it encourages people to rejoin the workforce.
Yeah, I think I could be on board with something like that, like as a general rule. Obviously, these type of things are, unique to each person and stuff like that. But if you're well and able and you're just not working, there's no excuse for it. I mean, come on now. Are you a man? Have you got something to work towards? Anything?
Yeah.
You got to be working. Come on, lads, you got to be working.
Well, you see, you've got to be, but at the same time, they don't. Like, let me put this to you, right? And a man says it to me, and I says, something that's very difficult to disagree with. He has 4 kids. If he was to take the job, medical card would be lost. What's the other thing with this? When they're going back to school? Back to school would be lost. And he went through, he says, James, I've done the sums. My family would be worse off if I was working.
Yeah. Oh, is this a single father?
No, he's not a father of a woman.
Yeah, not easy. Yeah, not
no,
easy
but you
for
see,
sure.
he done the sums on it, and like you can't argue with mathematics.
Yeah. Sure. Realistically, if I can't just quit my job and go into dole. It doesn't work like that, But realistically, I'd probably be getting more on welfare. Yeah, that's for sure.
Which you see, that has to change.
Of course it does. Yeah, of course there has to be bloody incentive to work. What if I was 18, going straight out the door? Like you've got that social welfare in your hand.
Well, you see, at 18, you're only getting 100.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when you go to 24, it's a higher rate. And I made this argument years ago. I says, you're meant to be against ageism, but you're not.
Yeah.
Do you know what they do with the 18-year-old is they say, well, if you can't find work, we're not going to give you anything. Whereas once they get to 30 or 40, there's kind of this tolerance of, well, if you don't want to find work and you want to stay on the dole for 20 years, we're not really going to bother you.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
Like I know, and you'd know them as well, Darren. There's people, 20, 30 years on the welfare out there.
All well and good if we had some bloody wildland or something in the country you could feck off and forage and do your thing, but the reality is there's people paying for that money that's in your pocket. Do you know, like, of course, there's times where it's the benefit of being bloody Irish. Do you know what I mean? If you get down on your luck, this country can help look after you and put you back on your feet is the most important part of that. Do you know what I mean? If you can't get on your feet, you know what I mean? I'm not talking about disability. I'm not talking about people like your man there with those 4 kids. Do you know what I mean? Of course, I absolutely sympathise with that. I know what it's like to have 2 kids. Do you know what I mean? I'm a father. Like I've got two little girls. It's just me and them for the majority of the day. Do you know what I mean? And if there was, you put 2 more in front of me, Jesus Christ. Do you know what I mean?
But you're there with your girls for the day and you're working at night.
Yeah. So like a little breakdown of my day. Like so, we're just after 3 o'clock. So I'm up 12 hours. Yeah. So up at 3 o'clock, trot through the town to get to 2 jobs. I come back then. Myself and the missus do a quick swap. So I'll be in 10 minutes later. She'll be out, and I'll look after them too until about 6 o'clock. And she'll come home, and then we'll do the dinner thing, and I'll crash out and wake up, do it all again.
Yeah.
It's what you got to do these days, man. 3 days in one household, 3 jobs in one household. Sorry,
This thing as well with the immigration, I put it to Vincent earlier as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think a lot of it was to keep wages down.
Really?
I really do, because if you have a shortage of workers, inevitably what goes up is wages. And if you just import en masse replacements and you have a glut of workers, wages reduce. So I can't help but think that people isn't adding these 2 up at the moment is to say,
Well, I mean, like, isn't it the nature of business capitalism is to essentially hoover money? Do you know, like, I mean, people that argue against globalism and all this type of stuff, and I'm right there with you, but I mean, the reality is we're all connected. The entire world's connected through money and business, you know? And as long as Ireland isn't one of those Facebooks, those Googles, etc., over time that money is getting hoovered out. That's the natural flow of things. Whether it's through our government or it's just through the natural flow of business, eventually we are going to be on the very short end of the straw. Like.
And now a word from our sponsors.
You're probably always wondering what these bottles are all about. I'll give you a wee heads up. Folks, what we're going to talk about now is beetroot. Now, I've based my bottles around beetroot, and the benefits of the beetroot is it boosts athletic performances, helps stroke prevention, and that's what it does, massively helps benefit the heart. It's a natural immune booster. Listen, I would love to put a health claim in the bottle and say natural immune booster. We're not allowed to, but the bottom line is, when by any 4 weeks, they're not a one wonder bottle, you'll not do it overnight. So try it for 4 weeks, it'll cost you no more than about €48. What's not to like about that?
When the storm hits and the power goes out, you shouldn't be left stuck. The handcrafted Donnelly rocket stove gives you reliable cooking anywhere, anytime. Using just small bits of wood, it's efficient, eco-friendly, and built to last. Cook outdoors with confidence, whether it's for emergencies, camping, or everyday use. Order yours today at donnellystoves.com and use code CONWAYEXP for €10 off your order.
Me and a few friends are talking about this and just, chopping it up about all this type of stuff. We're thinking, if you look down through a history where, like, you've got a hierarchy, and I do believe that natural hierarchies are, it's a normal part of being a human. But I'm talking, like, right down to Egyptians, all throughout history up until now. There's always been the proletariat, the elite, what we have, what they have. And if you look in comparison, if you look at what the people who built the pyramids lived in and what the pharaohs, etc., lived in, and you actually jump forward to our present time, that gap is widened. I know we've got houses and we've got phones and televisions and stuff, but the reality is we're on the worst end of the worst deal in history ever. Do you know what I mean? And that gap is widening constantly. I believe that globalism and elitism and all these type of things, racism, everything, are real issues in the world. But if you ask me what's the one big issue that joins us all, it's probably classism, and that whole idea of a less wage, or even to get people onto a welfare, what's that quote of, you loan nothing and be happy? Mm-hmm. That kind of that kind of rings true if you think of a welfare state, doesn't it? Yeah. You know what I mean? All of a sudden you got nothing, and the hope of even becoming something is gone. Yes. You know what I mean? Your bare functions as a human, that's it. Do you know what I mean?
But sure, this is why they've been coming down so hard on farmers.
Yeah, because farmers are going to crap, man, Jesus.
Well, the war this year is not a bad year for farmers.
I've seen that already. The income and stuff is going up, yeah.
They were dead set against farmers because farmers don't need your 15-minute city. Mm-hmm. You don't need it.
Yeah.
Do you know, like here in, late summer, early autumn, do I need the shop? No. Mm.
It's one of the most empowering positions to be in.
Yeah, because if you have access to your own food, your own energy source, which is your timber to cut down all of that, they don't have you.
Yeah.
They can't wrangle you in. So they've been trying to close all of this,
And you see your gardens are getting taxed now as well. You want to have your own crop, you're getting taxed on it just for not going to the shops. You know.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah. So like people polytunnels and all that type of stuff, apparently you're supposed to register them now. And basically what it is you'll just be paying tax towards what you harvest, considering that you're not now going to the shop to buy it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Again, you're getting taxed and everything. What I would really like to see actually from a party coming up is that freedom to be an independent person. Like if I want to just be able to go off the grid completely, be self-sufficient, that shouldn't be a problem.
No.
Especially this is land that I was born and raised in. My entire generation of people is here, you know what I mean? And always has been.
Yeah.
Is it Saudi Arabia where it's only the natives can actually buy property, but everybody benefits from
Dubai.
Dubai, sorry, yeah. But everybody benefits from free tax. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot to be learned there.
Well, there's another side to it too. Like we're in talks at the moment about launching a funding organisation, and that's exactly what we're talking about. Which is, if the entirety of Europe wants to head in one direction, just head the other way. Just stay.
Beat a swat salmon, huh? Swim upstream.
Yeah, just go. No, you're all right. Mm-hmm. You do that. Sound. You go there. Because what I'm saying is, if you have a digital ID and total traceability of all finances, if you're the one country that makes the offer that says, oh, by the way, if you open a bank account in our country, it'll cost you this much per year, which we're going to spend on hospitals and schools and that. But we don't ask questions. And if any organisation comes looking, we don't ask questions. I just can't help but think that's the way to go. Like, why has Switzerland done so well over the years? Switzerland has some fantastic policies. Like, for instance, if a food is in season in Switzerland, they stick an enormous tariff on the imported version of it.
Ah, yes, of course.
It's protectionism.
Yeah.
So if you have strawberries and they're in season in Switzerland, you can buy your Swiss strawberries at a reasonable price. But they make the ones from Spain extortionate. So nobody bothers bringing them in.
Are these things not common sense? I think these are the things that, like, the working class person aren't even aware that these options are even a thing. Do you know what I mean? There's such common sense things. Do you know?
I mean, I think they're common. Here's my opinion, Darragh. I think a lot of people are waking up at the moment.
Yeah.
Because what's happened is the currency has devalued so much. The living situations, like your living situation, you're seeing that the other people are getting everything and you're getting out. It's only now that people are realising, hold on a second, this is very bad.
Yeah.
Do you know?
We're definitely at a tipping point. A good mate of mine put it like this: it feels like everybody is one little shoulder bump away from going over the edge. And I feel like everyone's going over the same edge together. And that can go a good way or a bad way. Do you know, like, I think we know, it's kind of obvious, isn't it, for the entire country, there's no way Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael gets out of any of this. Do you know, like, they're gone. They're gone. Do you know, a change is coming. Like, that's fact. People now need to be aware of just how much change we can make.
Oh, and very quickly.
Like, are we just going to throw someone else in there into a system that's literally set up for corruption as it is?
Yeah.
Or are we going to demand, let's wipe this fucking slate clean? Do you know
It
what I mean?
has to be wiped clean.
Of course, you know.
As I said, that's, I think, why it's so powerful to come with something new at the moment.
It has to be new.
Yeah.
It has to be new.
You can't have these old ties to...
No. Like, if there's the people that are listening to this, if there's one thing I could leave you with, is change has to happen. It has to happen. You can't just put in people that have been there, maybe sitting at the sidelines, maybe didn't get the power that they wanted, but how silent have they been compared to us? Do you know what I mean? Like we're not on the same page as any political party right now.
No, but
do you know what I mean?
I go back to the COVID period. Where was your opposition?
Yeah, there wasn't.
Even
now, in reality, there's
no
none.
opposition.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I watched that presidential debate twice. I saw 3 talking heads all saying the same thing with different words.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there is no opposition. Do you know? I don't know about yourself. I'm very much this time around a spoil your vote person. Do you know? Like, I actually seen it earlier. Someone put it on Facebook. Right? You're presenting both arse cheeks. It doesn't matter which one you slap. You're getting fucked. Do you know what I mean? Like for me, I don't care if you can speak Irish. All right. I don't care if you can speak well. Like, what I care about is, do you truly represent the community, and are you speaking for all of us, the proletariat? Do you know what I mean? Because it's us, as I said 10 minutes ago, it is us that is keeping this ship moving. Do you know what I mean? Everybody. Do you know, that's the most important thing right there. You can't have an agenda and say that you represent the entire country, because we don't have a fucking agenda. Do you know what I mean? We're trying to get from one day to the next, and knowing that we're building something each day. We're a little step closer. Do you know what I mean? We're not just walking around in this hamster wheel. Do you know? If she's there, like, whoever it is, it doesn't matter who it is. If you're talking about housing, well, I think it's a complicated situation. I think it's a very simple situation. Where's the fucking solutions in any of that? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not a debate. That's not an argument. They're both saying the same thing. It's just two clucking heads. It was 3. Do you know, Jesus, Jim Gavin, huh? Yeah. Fucking hell, that's a bit of crack. Only in Ireland could you get a story like that. That's for sure. 3.5 grand to fuck you for life. You know? But yeah, man, like, so when I look at this presidential run here, and there's not a lick of what actually concerns me coming out of their mouth, how can I be on board with you? I'm not gonna like undermine my own morals and write on that you're the person for me just because I don't want the other people in. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's time for a change. Do you know?
It completely is, but I think the trouble with it thus far, there was nothing presented to the people where they can go, yeah, I can go with that.
Yeah.
And to be truthful about it, a lot of people were relatively comfortable up until the last year.
You
And,
think, yeah?
Yeah. A lot of people
In
were.
what sense? What do you think changed?
The cost of living.
Oh, right,
If-
okay, yeah.
Like if you take people who are on 60 grand per year up, these problems weren't affecting them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Now,
they are now.
They are now.
Yeah.
And because of the devaluation of money, their mortgage payment went up. Their electricity went up. So all of a sudden, an entire group of people who aren't affected are now being affected.
Yeah, the eradication of the middle class. Huh?
Yeah, and I'm noticing this around here now. Rural areas that were looking up at the area like Coolock and couldn't understand, what's going on up there, you know? And they didn't understand what was going on in Dublin and the cities with all the immigration was coming in. Now the rural areas are getting it.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden they're starting to open their eyes and go, oh, it's like I spoke to one woman recently. She has a house and she runs a business from the house. And directly across from her house was another house. And all of a sudden it's rented out to a group of people who enjoy playing very loud music all day long and all evening long. And now anyone who is coming to the business has to kind of negotiate their way through bicycles and children and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And she goes to me and she says, well, what can I do? And I says, nothing. There's nothing you can do. And this is the problem. When I was telling you this was coming, you didn't want to listen.
Yeah. We're in a weird time when
you have a family from another continent who does not work, they do not work, and they were flown to this country and they were given a house in a rural part of Ireland where the only thing they do now is cause disturbance for the business that's functioning across the road from them. You have a problem.
Yeah, and if you even try to defend yourself or defend that woman, you're set upon.
Yeah.
You know, it's illogical. Do you know what I mean? Like, we need to start conversing about these things like adults. Do you know, it's time to actually put these things on the table and open them up. Do you know, and stop. Like, I mean, you see these protesters in Dublin and all these places. Like, I want to run in between them all. Palestinian flag in one hand and a bottle of Coke in the other hand. Do you know what I mean? Just so they have a common enemy. Do you know what I mean? So they can join in that way. Do you know what I mean?
What is your opinion on the protest movement? Because I don't think it's leading anywhere.
Oh, right. Look, you have to do something. You have to voice your opinion on something. But Jesus Christ, they don't care, do they? They don't care about you occupying one little street and one. Like, I think if you could look at yourself from the God view, do you know what I mean? You'd realize it's fairly insignificant what you're doing. But what you could do is turn around and try and hit that financially instead. Do you know what I mean? Like, repeated economic scars, we'll say, throughout a year. Government's going to have to answer for that. As we all know, we're all interconnected. Do you know what I mean? Economically, the government is going to have to answer for being hit financially. Do you know what I mean? Because that's affecting other countries, it's affecting the EU, it's affecting their
How would you
masters.
suggest hitting them financially?
Oh, jeez, I'd love to go back to days of strike, lad. I'd love for companies and people to be unionising and just say, look, we're going to take this day, even if it's a few hours, if it's repeated enough. That's something that can't be ignored by every single country in the world, even in somewhere as small as Ireland. If we just decide we're not working for today, that's like if you imagine the heart monitor in a hospital. That's boop. You know what I mean? The entire system has felt that. The government has to acknowledge that. You know, they have to answer to that. And what they're going to hear is, this doesn't stop until we get X, whatever that is. Do you know what I mean? Now, there's one way. There's financially. Do you know you can do it? When it comes to the protests or like just marching on the street, there's a thing in economic policies, where it's like, what is it? Sorry, no. Fuck, the word's going to be gone for me now, but political science. That's it, political science. 3.5% of a country's population comes together looking for something. They usually get it. It's like it's unavoidable. Do you know what I mean? So whatever it is, if it's protest, if it's financially anything like that, 3.5% of the population in Ireland has 192,000 people. That's not that fucking bad. You know, that's not that impossible. Do you know, if anything, when I first heard that gave me a little bit glimmer of hope. 192,000 people, that's fairly reachable, do you know?
See, I don't think people goes through the numbers at all.
No.
You know, out of the entire population, the population who are eligible and who actually do vote is actually quite small. You do not have to convince a huge amount of people to go in one direction or another. But thus far, there's been no movement that's had enough enough backing to present this information to the Irish people in a way that's palatable for them.
And that's really what a lot of it is, isn't it? It's information that's unaccessible. Like, it's accessible, but it's not accessible. You know, like, go back to the Romans or the Greeks, whatever, did classical Latin and vulgar Latin. Now, if you can imagine, let's just put that common tongue, and when you go to learn to read about something and all of a sudden it's like looking at a different language, consider that your classical Latin. Do you know, it's like written in code, basically. But that's a big part of the problem. It needs to be the unpopular thing to not be educating yourself in these things. Like, you might see yourself like communism. The word communist has kind of been thrown around as an insult. It's a fucking economic policy. Do you know what I mean? That's what it is. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you call me a communist, that's watered off a fucking duck's back. Am I a communist? No. But it's like, you might as well be calling me an accountant. do you know what I mean? It's these little bits of education that the common man needs. Do you know what I mean? To even know what he's voting for in the first place. Like, I know rightly well, if I walk down the street and say, do you know that Ireland's a social democratic country? No. Do you know what it means? No. How the fuck are we supposed to vote? do you know?
Would you not describe Ireland, some people describe it as a republic, which is a totally different fish again.
Go ahead.
I don't think it's a republic. I think it's still under tyranny from London, to be honest about it. I don't think an awful lot of these establishments that people think exist at all.
Yeah, I can see that.
I find it strange how in the days after this so-called treaty was signed, the post boxes were not changed, the phone boxes were not changed, they were simply painted green.
Right, yeah.
I find it strange how our lighthouses are still owned by the RNLI, which is an English organisation. I find it strange how all of these poor boxes in the courts around the country, that the money goes to the City of London. I find it strange how An Garda Síochána is registered with HMRC, Her Majesty's Revenue Commissioners. I think that's the bit that people haven't
man. There's a lot to know, huh?
I think that's the bit people just haven't got their head around at the moment.
Yeah. 100%, man, of course.
Like, there's big arguments in this country about right wing, left wing, centralist. I think the argument that should be having is, oh, by the way, you don't exist as a nation. Did you know that? You just don't exist as a nation. You know, you go to the court system above in Dublin, or that a special criminal court where you have a court with no jury. That's a maritime court.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Do you think the common man is, like, I'm talking here in our country, do you think the common man identifies with his nation, you know, or with his flag, etc., until he's told to, until it becomes a topic of argument, you know?
No, I think people work in their own self-interest.
Yeah.
But, like, to be truthful about it, the government, up until this point, and this is the bit that people, they don't see it. The greasy wheel gets the oil. So the troublemaker is offered something in exchange to be quiet. So if you have difficulty with your council, so you're on the housing list, and every day you ring up, every day you email, every day you ring up, every day you email.
Yeah.
The likelihood is that they'll just throw you something to keep you quiet.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I have spoken to people in the house there who've told me I've been on the housing list for so many years. And I've said, when was the last time you rang the council? Oh, it's years ago. So I says, you're sitting there and you think that the council is going to pass much heed to you by being quiet.
Closed mouth gets nothing, huh?
That's it. Yeah. They're delighted with you. This is the first time in a very long time that even the person who gets on to them every day is getting nothing. Because they don't have it.
Yep.
They've decided to do this this immigration thing, which in my view is a fiddle. It's getting the last bit of money while the money is going easy, and getting it into your mate's pocket so he can throw you your kickback.
Yeah. Do you ever see those cars, when they go in the lift and they're checking what's the story with the engine? They let the engine just rev up and rev up and rev up. Sometimes the car doesn't stop.
Yeah.
I feel like we realise the fucking engine's spinning out of control and people are just grabbing whatever parts they can and legging it, But, yeah, it's mad old times.
What was, you must have been contacted by so many people.
Yeah.
Because when anything goes big like that, you're contacted, this is my story.
Yeah.
I wish I could share it, all the rest of it.
Yeah.
What's that like?
It's not something you're prepared for, that's for sure. Especially I try to make it a purpose, you know what I mean? A part of my day to make other people's lives better. I think a big part of your duty as a man is how you can serve other people. Do you know what I mean? And by doing that, you improve their quality of lives. In return, their quality of life improves yours. And sorry, James, I've gone off on a tangent again.
You're all right.
Your question, go on ahead.
Just the amount of people who got in contact with you.
All right, yeah.
It must have been overwhelming.
It was overwhelming, all right. And you empathize with them. You understand it. A lot of these people are people that are just down the road. A lot of these are people from all over the country. But some of the stories are horrible. Some of them there was a woman there. She's going through cancer and she couldn't get a medical card. Meanwhile, there's people in the line. And just like what we're saying, these people that are getting handouts. Do you know what I mean? That are arriving up and applying for their medical card fresh off the boat. It's things like that. It's like, where's our priorities at? And where's the people that are speaking up for that? It's those things that I want to see represented more than anything. It's like where's our concerns for the downtrodden? In the budget, for example. But yeah, these messages come true, and I see you can see it in me that I'm still processing a lot of it. But I feel a big obligation to put in towards what those people want to hear, and the reality is that those people they're trying to say, we need to stop what we're doing. We need to stop bringing in as many people as we're bringing in. We can't even help ourselves. If we can't help ourselves, what are we supposed to do for anyone? We're actually, if anything, we're going to give them people that we're supposedly helping more hassle down the road. Do you know what I mean? A lot of these people are living under resentment, which is also bad too. I got neighbours there, right, that are from Ukraine, for example. Privet Kokchila, yeah, that's hello, how are you? I cook dinner with them. I'll sit down, I'll cook dinner for their kids, and we'll talk and we'll chop it up. And I'll say to them, all of this is mental. I really sympathise with your situation, but I wish you weren't here. Would you like a cup of tea? Do you know what I mean?
Will I tell you a good one?
Go for it.
Privyet and Koktala is Russian.
That's one thing I learned, man. So many of them speak Russian. So many of them identify as Russian. So many identify as Russian. I was. When they offer how to say something in their language, they want you to say it in Russian. Now I'm not going to go and ask them what's the story with all that shit. Do you know what I mean? But it says a lot, doesn't it? It really does. When we're saving people from Russia that identify as Russian. Yeah. It's.
You see, this is the element that I'm getting to it. The amount of Irish people who are wholesalely uninformed about the Ukraine is outrageous.
Yeah.
The Ukraine was the most corrupt country in the United Nations in their own admission for lists for years.
Okay.
The Ukraine was a centre of human trafficking, prostitution, organ harvesting, mass weaponry deals. And we have allowed people in with very little documentation into our country.
Yeah.
And we don't know who they are, and we don't know what they're about. And I have serious reservations about that.
We're a small country. We're sitting there very open as well. What's our army at the minute? It's very small. It's a very small number.
It's irrelevant in the grand
Yeah,
scale
it's a very small number.
To be truthful about it.
Even our population in terms of Europe, I think we're 0.01% of it. I know there's 500 million people in the EU. What is that? 5.5 million of us.
We don't know how many people's in the EU.
Yeah. That's the truth too.
So,
yeah.
if People have got to get to a critical mindset where they don't even take at face value what these government organisations are telling them as facts. The truth of the matter is, absolutely nobody knows how many people are in Ireland at the moment.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Well, we don't know shit. We know what we're told. Do you know, I heard a thing before in North Korea, and it was one of the last World Cups. They thought they won it.
It was told
They were told that they fucking won it, and they believe it. They're probably still going around now talking about how they won the 2000 whatever it was World Cup. Do you know? So we know what we're showing. The only thing we truly know is what's in front of our fucking nose. Do you know?
Do you have hope for the future?
Yeah, I actually really do. I really, really do. We tend to go to the extreme in extreme circumstances. Do you know? Like if you look at suppose we'll look at the Cold War. Yeah, we're now that people are using communism and all this type of thing is kind of like a slur. Do you know? And our natural reaction after the Cold War was neoliberalism. Yeah, which was basically the free market, free trade, all that type of stuff. And I think people, even just those words, people should really make those words a lot more common. You know, because you go into a whole big philosophical talk when you start talking about this stuff. Like, are we truly free if we can't be in a free trade market? But then what's freedom if free trade imposes on other people's freedom? Do you know, that's a whole big philosophical thing there that really, really gets down to the nuts and bolts of what a party represents. Do you know? And like, if you as a person can come to terms with what you're agreeable with, so there's your party right there. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's all well and good. Like, he's a communist. Oh, he's a communist. Fuck the communists. You know what I mean? But again, it's a fucking economic policy. Like, it's not an insult. Do you know?
Admire of it.
No, Jesus, no, not at all. I actually think all of them have their place. Do you know? Like, I don't think there's any one economy out there that's one thing. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it functions like that. I think we like to label ourselves as something, but we make bloody compromises everywhere, here, there, and everywhere, all the time.
See, I think you can allow people certain freedoms so long as it doesn't have detriment to economic possibility, is my thing.
Yeah.
So if you say to the people, if you are in a very, very bad health position, there's help available. To me, that's not going to prevent people from partaking in the economy. It's going to get them back into the economy again. But if you create a welfare state where it's more beneficial for people to not work, I think it's ludicrous to expect that they're just going to work out of what? Because it's a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
Don't. Yeah. And I think this is where Ireland has went wrong. We have people coming here now to take advantage of a welfare system that we developed. Let's be honest about it. We developed this. And for years, people turned a blind eye to Johnny, who spent 20 years on the welfare. They never thought, by the way, someday someone else might come here and take advantage of this. Do you know?
Yeah, of course.
And this is the bit we're in now. So the only way to correct that, in my viewpoint, is we cut it off. But the unfortunate part is, this is going to be cut off for everyone.
Yeah.
That's the bit that people haven't got their head around.
No matter what happens, there's going to be hardship. Do you know, like, we're going through a change. I mean, I live by, if it makes sense in one area has to make sense in all areas of life. There's not one part of change that isn't uncomfortable. There's going to be a transition period in this country where we have to adjust. There's going to be hardship. There's going to be, you cut the finger to save the hand type of thing. Do you know, like, there's never going to be a budget that agrees with all of us, all these type of things. But when a change comes, and a change is coming, there's going to be, we'll say, casualties. Well, you know what I mean? Economically.
Well, what we done the last time, and it was very silly, we went with austerity. This time I don't think you can go with austerity. I think what you're going to have to do is lower taxes and tell people, listen, get at it. There's the ball.
Go ham.
Go after. Go hammer and tongs. Like, I'd create a situation as, again, let's say dictator in the morning, because that's the only way you can really say it. That box of cigarettes there, I'd lower the price of them to such an extent that people were coming from Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland to buy their cigarettes here and spend their money here and go again.
That's bloody obvious, right?
These governments don't seem to understand. The lower you put the tax, the more tax you will collect. They just can't get their head around that.
I understand what you're saying, yeah. Like, I mean, it's gotten to the stage now. In that post, actually, you know, you got a very, very small minority there that are nitpicking through everything that I've said, and they're looking for them one little things. And someone there spent a fucking long time looking up me and, you know, what my year looked like and stuff. But they made a comment that I was in Rome this year. If you are listening, I was in Rome twice this year. Yeah. Why was I in Rome? Because it's fucking cheaper than going to Connemara. Do you know what I mean? When you go there, like, Jesus, you think it's bad going to Sligo and the missus goes into pennies. Yeah. Try going to Rome where the highest end clothes are on sale for €9 fucking. Do you know what I mean? And by the way, we got the strongest passport in the world. Not in fucking Rome. Yeah, there's all these lovely little windows with €20 tax off. Do you know, you get your tax back basically for everything that you've bought. You present your passport. Every fucking passport bar ours. Yeah, for some reason you go over to Rome, our passport's not worth nothing. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Irish passport strongest in the world, but not when you're in Rome anyway. So just so you know. But yeah, it's the same thing. Tourists go over, they spend a ball of money, and they get their tax money off. You know, bar us, mind you. Your hotels, everything is just cheaper. You know, that's why I was in Rome. My first 2 holidays, by the way, since 2017, if I need to defend myself on that. I don't, but, you know, to clear a few chicken heads out there, first holiday since 2017, and because it's cheaper than going anywhere in this country. Do you know, that's stupid. That's money that the country could have got. You know what I mean? Like, do you remember during COVID, there was all that incentive to go use the hotels. People were able to claim tax back of, I think, what was it? It wasn't much, but it was 150, 250 euro, whatever it was. And 2-3 years, sure, all the hotels you can't get in them now. You can get in them, but you know what I mean? You're in for fun, do you know? But yeah, you're right. Like, come on, lads. Half the stuff that we make here in-house, it costs us a leg and an arm to get them. Never mind the tourists, it's just off bloody planes, you know.
No, as I says, the solution to me is very simple, which is less tax, more freedom. And I think if people approached it from that angle, like, how come I can go to Georgia and within a week I can have a business, an accountant and a bank account within a week?
Yeah, people going to Poland to get construction supplies for their house.
Yeah, but apart from that, you can go to Poland, and remember we had Frigo here. Yeah. And the man was able, what was it, a week, he says, to be fully registered, able to go work, no problem. Yeah. Not welfare,
right?
Work.
Yeah.
Work permits, no problem. Welfare,
life changed overnight.
Big problem.
Now wages are smaller, but then everything is.
So is the price of everything.
And it's not mad. It's not mad. Like, it doesn't make sense at all for any of it.
No, as I says, I think it's coming back to the days where there are good quality people in this country who want to get after it. Let them at it. Yeah. Let them have the opportunity to get after it.
And it's down to the smallest things. Again, when I left the self-employment route, and got back into work, I'm sitting there with a new kid in front of me, a missus with a ring on her finger, and you know yourself, man, that fire is lit. You are ready to go in that baby pop. You are like, whatever the fuck it takes, I am going to do it. Yeah. I was at a stage back then where I was working a different job. I was a supervisor in just a wee place, and I was cranking out the hours, all right? But again, you're thinking 20, 30 years down the line, and you realize, basically, I'm still in the same situation I was. I need to be doing more. Yeah, I'm a young lad, and I'm probably one of the most motivated people you'll ever meet. Like, the second I know something has to be done, it's getting done. It doesn't matter how long it's going to take. But I was in a position where there was hours available to me, and I wanted them. There was no problem there, right? I wanted to do 50, 60 hours every single week. Let's just get this out of the fucking way. Let's secure our future. In Ireland, in most sectors of the work, you can't do 46 hours on average every week.
Yeah.
So if you've never been to college, if you're on the lower end of things, just that one law, just that one little rule that says nothing, you can't make something of yourself.
But you imagine if you introduced, and this is the bit I can't understand, right? Take the construction sector, right? After 39 hours, you are getting pillaged for tax.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you've done is you've created a situation where the hard worker, the fellow who's willing to do overtime, you discourage him. So just one change.
Yeah.
After 39 hours, no tax.
Mm-hmm.
You would have men working 70.
It should be applauded. Do you know what I mean? It shouldn't be put down.
You'd have men working 60, 70 hours because it'd be like, it's worth me while.
Yeah, 100%. There's people out there that talk about how the new generation is lazy and things like that. There's extremes on both spectrums there when it comes to the new generation. Do you know what I mean? And I tell you one thing: when they see laws like that even if I'm making an extra €10 on a full-time job compared to the welfare, but I have the opportunity, I can crank out those extra 20 hours.
Yeah.
You can't.
I'd come up with a situation if you were a block, Claire. I'd say every block you lay after 300 blocks, there's no tax on it because fair play to you. You laid 300 blocks.
Yeah. We don't applaud hard work.
No.
We don't, you know. And even like on a cultural level, we have very much a crab in a bucket mentality there. You know, where you see someone kind of trying to do something different or make something of themselves, and people do want to bring that down.
Yeah.
You know, like I left good job long time ago, just long before kids or anything like that. And I left it to go and pursue a kickboxing career. Do you know what I mean? I was always into martial arts and stuff like that. And you got the usual, you're a dreamer and all this shit. Fucking, I did that, right? Do you know what I mean? I went and opened a business off the back of everything that I did. Do you know what I mean? But I had to put up with a whole lot of naysayers, man. Do you know what I mean? And I tell you what, I probably would have got a lot further with a few people egging me on there. Do you know? But that's a little bit of the culture that needs to change in us. Do you know what I mean? Because we're changing.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you here today.
Boys.
So, how can people get in touch with you? Have a look at your social media?
I'm a very, very accessible person. I am not trying to lead anybody, nothing like that. But if I can be a voice for the proletariat, I'm very, very happy to do that. You know, a lot of role models that I had coming up with were voices for change. I'm not going to be someone that says I've had enough and then goes on back about their life. This won't be the last that people see of me. I don't know where it's going. I don't know. I have no idea. But I do know that what people ask me to do, that's what I'm going to do. You can find me on Instagram and on Facebook, Darragh McShane. I probably look exactly like this, actually. Yeah. It won't be hard to find me, hey. But change is coming.
Would you go into politics yourself?
You should. He's a good voice.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, lads. I do appreciate that from both of you. I've heard that a lot throughout my life. All right, now it's hard to be part of a group when it comes to politics because there's a lot of moving pieces that go on in each individual's head. Do you know what I mean? And you try and put that on a piece of paper or in a group setting, things can go pear-shaped a little bit.
Yeah, but I think you can agree on the 80%. It's the 20% that everyone falls out about.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm going to bring myself to when it comes to actually becoming a politician or whatever way things do go. I'm going to use a quote here, right? So people have spoken to me about change and working within the system to try and achieve that. The problem with being a conformist is that when you try and change the system from within, it's not you that changes the system. It's the system that eventually changes you. There's usually nothing wrong with compromise in a situation, but compromising yourself in a situation is another story completely. And we've all seen that happen long enough to realize that it's a very serious problem in our country. You know, one thing I will never be able to do is compromise my morals. And when you're voting for someone, particularly barristers or anything like that, you know what I mean, who has to stand up in the court, look at a family who isn't representing themselves, yeah, again, in a language that none of us understand. And the person there has to compromise those morals, put all of that aside, that humanity thing aside to get a job done. That's not your president. You know, sorry about that, but that's not your president. When it comes to this country, we can no longer accept someone that is able to put their morals, their integrity, the humanity in them aside to get the job done, because the job is only so much of this country. Yeah, we're all indispensable when it comes to the numbers. You know what I mean? We're all disposable, I could say, when it comes to numbers. We're all indispensable when it comes to the soil in this ground. You know what I mean? But yeah, if I could leave one message with people, where am I supposed to be looking here? It's all good, all good. If I had to leave one message with people, it's to use that voice. Like, I'm just like you. The fact that I'm here is a victory for all of us. when you use that voice, you unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. Yeah, I believe that I have good faith in people to always come back to a logical point that makes sense to us all. If you ask me, 1 + 1 = 2 everywhere around the world, and I think everything is like that. I think you can boil everything down to the logical common denominator in all of us. Yeah, the division is only going to end badly. Like a change is coming to the country, and we need to make sure we're on board with that change. Because all we're doing is we're just going to be spinning our wheels. We're going right back to square one again. If we go and make a change here and 50% of the country isn't happy, eventually things are going to escalate into something else. Yeah.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Yeah.
Thank you, Darragh.
Go on, the boys.